author, speaker, career coach, business founder and owner, facilitator, trainer. Yes, those are all things that I do, believe it or not. And if you are guessing that I am telling you about my journey into business, you are right. So, in today's episode, I want to share with you how I got into business, especially considering that I was one of those people who always said, I'm not cut out for business, I will not do business. But then here I am, 10 years later in Canada, I'm now a business owner. How did this happen? How did I get there? What has that journey looked like? That's and more I'll be sharing with you on today's episode. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Anita Adifie, and I'm a very dynamic person, but I have been sharing about what my 10-year journey in Canada has looked like. Yes, this year was exactly 10 years that I've been in Canada as, then as a newcomer. I can't claim newcomer anymore. But it has been such a great journey for me. And I have been chronicling what that journey has looked like, talking about different aspects. I've talked about family, faith. I've talked about career path and what that looked like, education. And today I want to focus on telling you about how I became a business owner. Yes, my life in Canada has taken a lot of twists and turns, a lot of pivots, and some are very intentional, others not so much. And what we're talking about today is one of those things that it wasn't really intentional. I did not plan to be a business owner. It just sort of happened. Yes, if you're wondering, I will tell you how. In the last episode, I talked about like just where we travel a lot as a family and the importance of traveling and how you can travel, like a celebrity without breaking the bank. Trust me, if you haven't seen it, you should definitely see it. But anyway, today we're going to talk about business, and I'm really excited about this one now. Disclaimer, I'm still pretty new in business, so bear with me, okay? I'm still learning, I'm still growing, and no matter how far, how high we get, we're always going to continue to grow. But I want to talk about, let me start with what inspired me. Now, to start with what inspired me, I have to go all the way back to the beginning of my journey in Canada. Now, if you've been following the series, you do know that in my first year when I got to Canada, it was really hard at the time to get a job that matched my skill, education, and experience level, as lots of newcomers continue to face even that situation. And but in addition to that, you would also know that it was also hard getting to find people who can talk to me even more specifically about my field. I have been a public service gal all my life, well, for the most part of my career, not all my life. For the most part of my adult career life, of course, I only have career in my adulthood. Sorry for my rambling. Okay, but you get the picture, right? And in that time, when I was going through all of this, I made a decision that I wanted to learn the process I was going through, not just for myself, but so that if someone else were to come in and they needed help, I can help them. So I wanted to be to others what I was looking for others to be to me, right? And so that was sort of the beginning. And what had happened at the time was that as people were coming in, it was sort of, I was trying to refine my skills on one hand, but on the other hand, I just really wanted to help people. And I wanted to make sure I was giving them the best in the help I was rendering, because I don't want to render nonsense help, right? And so I started refining my skills. I will write my own resumes. I'll write for other people. I will prep them for interviews. When I go for interviews and I come back, I would actually debrief with myself. And sometimes, unfortunately for my husband, debrief with him as well. And I would also get feedback, and there were times that I would just make notes of some of these things, and then I would apply it again in the next opportunity, or I'll find somebody and say, hey, why don't you try this when you go for interview? And I kept doing this. And with time, I just became this person that everybody turned to when they had an interview, when they want to apply for a job and they need to write the resumes or update the resumes. And it was nice. Like, it was something I enjoyed doing. And then over time, I started doing information sessions for newcomers at my church. I pitched the idea to my pastor, who was thumbs up with it because he always loves things like that. My pastor is sort of like me. I'm sort of like my pastor because he really just always loves to help people. And so we started doing that information session. And with time, yes, it was great to have some of the other topics mentioned, but I found that what really got me excited every time I shared was really in that career space. And so I continued doing that. Now, fast forward to um and then this kept going on, and then over time I started thinking, like, the numbers of people I was getting, it was overwhelming. I was constantly meeting with people, reviewing resumes, prepping people for interviews, still doing all of this for free. Never even crossed my mind one day to charge people money. I know it's crazy, because and I had friends who would tell me, this can be a business, and I'm like, no, I'm just doing this to help people. I just want to help people, which I really wanted to do. But it started getting overwhelming, and I started thinking about a process, a system, a structure that would help me sort of be able to continue to do this for people without hurting myself in the process. And then pandemic hits. And when pandemic hits, of course, I everything info sessions, literally everything was online, and I started doing this online sessions. And then it occurred to me to just, have people come on Zoom, and then we'll just talk. And now, on one hand, it felt like I could have more opportunities to do more. I could sneak in a quick 45-minute session with someone in between lunch hour and all of that. But again, it became overwhelming. Long story short, I decided that I needed a process. And it wasn't just the sheer number of people, but it was also more people too who would schedule meetings and then not show up to those meetings. And I'm sitting there 10, 15 minutes in, wondering, where is this person, trying to reach them. And oftentimes it was very flimsy excuses. And I remember in one of those examples, especially, and I've said this several times before, I scheduled a meeting with somebody who didn't show up. Eventually got through to the person, and the person had said, "Oh, I took my kids to the park, but we can do it while I'm outside at the park." And I'm sitting there thinking, you're not taking this seriously enough. Like, why are you taking this seriously? Now, here's where it really hurt me, is that before I agreed to that call, my kids had said to take them to the park, and I said, you know what, I just need to take this call and then I'll take you to the park. So somehow I legit broke down and I started crying. And I know. And if you're that person, maybe you remember, you probably even don't. But here's the thing: actions have impacts on people. And I don't know why, for some reason, that particular incident that day impacted me so much. I just started crying. And I think I was also overwhelmed too. And I started crying and I said, I want to be able to keep doing this, but I can't continue if people keep taking things and taking me for granted. And my husband just said, because they don't value it. And I remember through my tears saying, well, how do I get them to value it? And he said, put a price on it. And it was just one of those things he said, just put a price on it. And so crazy, but somehow it was like, ding, ding, ding. All my senses just came back to life, and I started Googling. And long story short, I got trained on how to be a coach. And after that training, and how to market and how to position and build the websites and all of that, that's how I got into business. And I transitioned the same thing I had been doing. I was able to build both my system, my structure, my processes into that. And guess what? I was also able to sieve out the unserious people. Now, again, really honestly, it started out from a pain that I had, and wanting to figure that pain out and resolve things for myself, but also wanting to extend that resolved solution to other people as well. That is how it started. So really, business for me never was about money at first. It still isn't really, per se. I mean, it's good to make money. It's nice when I see a couple extra $1,000 come my way, but it wasn't the main thing for me. It was not the reason why at the beginning, right? I just kept noticing that there was a problem. I wanted to solve the problem, and I'm wired in this way that when I go into a place and I recognize the problem, I don't know how to look the other way, especially if I know that I have what it takes to be able to solve that problem. Now, if I don't have what it takes, I might highlight and say, hey, I don't know if you recognize that this is here, Happy to help if there's any way you think I can. But if I know that I have what it takes to solve it, I just don't know how to look the other way. Sometimes I wish I could, but I don't know how to. If you know how to, let me know in the comments below. So that was how I started. That was really the beginning. Now you see why I said I needed to go back to the beginning to really help you understand how I got into business. That's how. And so I started doing one-on-one coaching, still do a lot of that, still do resume writing, and still do interview preparation, compensation negotiation, trainings for people, and I also do LinkedIn optimization. That's on the one-on-one side. The one piece I haven't done yet, I mean, I've done sort of a bit of that for free with people, is group coaching. I'm not here to tell you about exactly the business itself. But I will put a link to my business website on the description, so feel free to check it out if you want to learn more about the exact business itself. But the other thing too is that I also do corporate trainings now, and I'm continuing to expand and evolve the business. It's really evolving. And then over time, because I do this and people know me, they sometimes call me to speak about it. And so somehow it just naturally made sense that the speaking engagement piece goes with it. Now, authoring is something that I always wanted to do. I have, for those who know, as a matter of fact, I started YouTubing because I wanted to talk about my journey with child sexual abuse, molestation, suicide, depression, and I will get back into that. As a matter of fact, I think that after I'm done the series, I will be starting a series on that topic as well, but more to come on that. But the other piece with it was that I wanted to be able to share my story to inspire others, to inspire other people who have been through abuse, who have been through suicide, ideation, suicide attempts, who have been through depression, and all of that. And so I always wanted to share that story again. And I don't know how, but somehow pandemic was a really pivotal season for me. I remember just, talking to my mentors, and I said, I really want to do this. And I said, you've talked about really wanting to write this book for so long. What's getting in your way? And honestly, I couldn't think of what was getting in my way, other than that I just not started putting pen to paper, not literally, more like putting my fingers to keypads is more like it, right? And so I just started, and it was hard at first, but I got a writing coach and paid and said, every week, if I don't submit X amount of words to you on this book, charge me extra money. And she did. And that was my wake up call. And so we set a deadline to submit my manuscript, my first draft of manuscript. And that was it, right? And before you know, I became a published author, right? And then did some marketing and did some book sales and all of that. Again, that's something I need to get back into for sure. And yes, people keep asking, are you going to write more books? The answer is absolutely yes. But right now I am busy trying to write a dissertation, so let me finish with that. And that counts as a book too, right? So yes, I will write more books, so stay tuned. But yeah, that's how I got into authoring and speaking as well. And again, because of the book and the dynamic of the story and what it is, and because it also has faith components to it, because of course I didn't get through that journey without God, I have people who would reach out and have me speak about my journey, about my life, about all of that, and how I was able to navigate through it. And so yeah, so that's how sort of the speaking and the book and the business just sort of worked together. So that's how I got into business. And when I started business, one of the things I quickly realized is how much it can actually be a great tool for advancing other purposes of your life. Case in point, there are pieces of my coaching that I've gone back to sometimes offering certain aspects for free, because I'm able to, make up for it in other ways, right? And when somebody who really has a genuine need, like an international student who is trying to get their first job and they're fresh out of school, no job, and they've paid all this huge amount on fees, I'm able to give them very discounted prices, and or sometimes, depending on what the situation is, case by case basis, I'm able to even offer the services pro bono, right? And so it really just allows me to fund other areas of my life, other areas of passion, including, yes, previous episode, traveling. All right, so I really started to see the opportunities to eventually become an employer of labor, right? An employer, not just being an employee, but also becoming an employer. And as I'm seeing all of these different opportunities, I'm really starting to see the beauty in having a business, right? And because I'm seeing all of these different opportunities, plus with time, it can allow me also take a step back fully from 9 to 5. As a matter of fact, I have been off 9 to 5 for almost 2 years now, right? Mostly, initially to focus on my PhD, but it also just gives a little bit of buffer to be able to continue to do what I do, whether or not I'm in a 9 to 5. So it really is good. It really has been a learning curve, and I'm still learning, like I said, because I'm still very much fresh in business. All right. And I will tell you this, though, it hasn't been easy because there are a lot of long nights, weekends. Sometimes you have to say no to things, parties, events, and sometimes people get it, sometimes they don't. And I'm learning to be okay with when people don't get it, and I'm grateful to those who do get it, right? Because the truth is that I won't be able to always explain to every single person what I am doing with my life and my time, especially when you're in a building phase of something. And I still think that I'm still very much in the foundational phases of business. Not that I think. I know that I'm in the foundational phases of business because yes, I registered this company in 2021 and I put the systems and structures in place. But guess what? I still refuse to do? Charge full price. I still refuse to charge prices. I still refuse to charge full price. As a matter of fact, I joke that on paper my business started in 2021, but in reality it really started in 2023, 2024 is what I like to say, because I don't think that even with being consistent in charging, I don't think that I really took that as seriously until towards the end of last year, 2 years ago now. I can't even remember, right? And so, but again, it's a lot of learning curve, right? And I'm continuing to learn. So, but one thing I'll tell you if you're looking to go into business is, number one, actually, you know what? I'll leave the lessons line for the end. All right. Um, and then I remember when I got my first keynote speech requests. Okay, I do a lot of little speaks here and there, panel, some pro bono, some paid, But I remember when I got the pick for to be a keynote speaker, it was really it felt like a moment of yeah, yeah, I have recognition now as a speaker. It was a really great moment. And I remember my very first corporate training as well. When I did that, it was also a moment of, okay, so this is what it can be, right? And one of the things I realized is that whatever that journey is that you're on, trust me, when certain results gradually start to come in, you'll realize that it is worth it, if you started out especially if you started out really just wanting to solve problems and not just because you want extra money. It's not bad if you want extra money. The point is just, make it worthwhile for people. All right, so now I'll give you some of my lessons learned in my how many few years of doing business. Yes, I know this is like a baby giving an adult advice, especially if you're someone who's been in business for so long. But there might be newcomers who are watching this and you're thinking, I would love to go into business someday in Canada, but I don't even know where to start, where to begin. I will tell you some things that you can do. So number one is identify a problem that you can solve. That one is a no-brainer, right? Identify the problems that you can solve. That's number one. For me, it was that the problem was always right there. I was solving it without even thinking about an opportunity that was also staring at me to monetize this, right? I don't believe in you monetize every single problem you try to solve. Case in point, I work with teenagers. I love working with teenagers. People have said to monetize that. For now, I don't see any need for it. And for now, I really just do it. It's more of a real fulfillment for me. Another example, it's more of a purpose like fulfillment for me, right? And it's more tied to my spiritual faith, church settings than even something personal that I'm doing. So, and I love where I'm at with that for now, right? I mean, that might change tomorrow. Another thing is, many people probably don't know this about me. I love to cook, and I think I cook well. I love to cook, and I actually love to feed people. Like, there's just something about it. I just like to cook, have people eat, and then watch the satisfaction on their faces, right? And most people who eat my food always talk about, you should own a cooking business, and I'm like, nope, I love to cook. It's just a hobby. I really just love to feed people, period. And yes, I cook. Ugh, if you're wondering, just I'm not saying you're asking, just in case you're wondering. I cook. All right. So some lessons. So identify the problem, right? Identify the problem and seek to solve the problem. Number two, when you identify the problem, ask yourself, how am I best positioned to solve this problem? What is my competitive advantage? For me, two things. One, I've done a lot of research, and two, I have lived experience, right? I've done a lot of research and self-learning and self-study on, and then eventually got some training, right, on the challenges that newcomers face navigating the Canadian job market. I have my lived experience. I have my self studies that I've done and research. I talk to a lot of people, and right now, even as part of my PhD, most people don't know this, but I actually went into PhD wanting to explore labor market outcomes for women of African descent in Canada and how we can use policy to advance their experiences. That's what I went into PhD wanting to study. So I'd already done a lot of studying and reading and learning on that area and continue to. And I've also developed a research report on that based on a research project that I had done with a group before now. So there's a lot of work that I've done in that space already, from a research study perspective as well. So knowing that I had all of these things under my belt, I know that I had the expertise to go into this business. So what is your competitive advantage? You're going to have to learn to remember that. Number three, this is where a lot of individuals, newcomers, and especially women shy away from, is don't be afraid to name your price and collect it, right? So this is where for me, I think I struggled the most, and if I'm being honest, still struggle, is learning to name your price, learning to price yourself right, and then not be afraid. And now if you're going to underprice or price beyond above regular market rates, so you're going to have to do a lot of research to figure out what's the average of, costing for this, pricing for this, right? The business, product or service that you offer. And for me, one of the things that I found out is that because of the niche that I'm in, I'm a little underpriced for regular market rates. I know how much people do resumes out there, but I have to understand that I'm not just writing resumes for I write resumes for a lot of people, but mostly I write resumes for newcomers. And so because of that, I recognize that not everyone is coming in with a whole lot of money, and even if they are, living expense is usually so huge that I just put my price at the barest minimum to just, to continue to offer that value, but to also just sort of have something, because I'm running websites, sometimes I'm running ads and all of that, right? So just to keep things going, right? And not to mention, like, I have corporate clients, or continue to have corporate clients, right? And so because I know that there's another, bigger pot where I can really pull a lot of resource from, it allows me to price this other portion of the business a little differently, in a way that has a mixture of, continuing to add the value of what I started doing to begin with, and at the same time still running a business and having serious people. So learn to price right and collect. Don't be like me that starts a business but refuse to get paid for it. Okay, that's number three. Number four, what I will tell you is that do research, even just do your market research, right? And sometimes you might need to talk to certain organizations to help you. So I'll tie number four to number five, right? Number four is do your market research. Number five is that find organizations to work with. There are a lot of organizations that actually help startup. So for instance, if you're a woman, in Saskatchewan, which is where I live, there's the Women Entrepreneurs of Saskatchewan, right? And you can be a member, and as a member, you get advisory access. You get access to a business advisor who can help you navigate some of those things, like writing your business plan, do your market research, do your product pricing, and all of that. So take advantage of organizations like that. Now, even more specifically, if you're a Black woman, there is the Black Women in Action, I believe, organization. I'm also a part of that, and they also help you. Now, the membership fee is crazy cheap compared to West, right? But the truth is, even between both of them, their fees are still very reasonable, right? Very reasonable, right? And so, but the good thing is that you have access to people, and they have programs where you can also network and get to meet other people who are in business like yourself. You also get access to information. There are many things I didn't know about business, starting up, market research, and all that I had to some there were moments where I had to like work my way back into things, right? So take advantage of that. And then number six now, network, network, network. Whether I'm talking about career, I'm talking about business or politics, I would always talk about networking because that is the world we live in. Unfortunately, for you, especially introverts, I'm calling you out. That is the world we live in. You gotta network, go out and meet people. Find where other people who are in your kind of businesses are. Find people you can collaborate with. Find places that you can even do pro bono, that is, on one hand, you giving back, but on the other hand, it also positions you for visibility, right? And that brings me to number 7, which is get visible. Now, this is where I am also guilty. I will tell you that I am the worst when it comes to marketing, and I will be learning on that. I will put that on goal 2026 maybe, but get visible. Let people around you know that you run a business, what kind of business you run, and talk to the people that matter. Be in rooms, cold call, do whatever you need to do, but get visible, put yourself out there. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. Honestly, looking back, I wish that I'd started this business sooner, and I wish that I had really put a little bit more effort from the very beginning, but better late than never. I am putting in the effort now. But one thing the leadership has taught me is ownership on a whole different level, resilience in a different way, and honestly how to create opportunities where none existed, and even just creativity, right? I used to think I'm somebody who, if you ask me what are my greatest skills, I'll tell you problem solving is one of them. But man, it feels like it just went through the roofs, and creative ways of solving problem, right? If you are a newcomer, I don't want anyone or anything to get in your way of starting a business if that's something that you want to do, because truth is, again, there's no rule that says you can't land into the country today and start a business if you want to. So if that's something that you're looking to do, by all means, please step into it. The opportunities are endless. As a matter of fact, it's one of the reasons why I've been doing this series, is because I want people to see that when I say that your move to Canada, treat it like a blank slate. If you remember episode 1, treat it like a blank slate and rewrite your story. What will it be? Don't be afraid. Write as many goals, as many things that you can envision for yourself. Write them down, and you'll be shocked that as you're writing it down, you bring it to the fore of your mind, and the opportunities come, you're able to recognize them very quickly, and you can take steps to fulfill it. So I really hope that this has been helpful for someone today. If it has, please let me know in the comments, and I'll be more than happy to read your comment, to know. And if there are questions that you have, also feel free to put them in the comments and ask, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Now, in episode 9, there is something I didn't tell you, author, career coach, and all of that, but I also have been in politics. Yes, I'm a politician. I told you there are several pieces of my life. But it's been an honor. Like it's been a great journey for me, and I will tell you all about that in episode 9. So I look forward to seeing you in that episode. If you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and do so. And if these videos have been really helpful to you, do me a favor, don't be selfish, share the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.